Hey guys, hoping all is well with everyone. So in this video we're going to be beginning a new read-along series of the Crime Traveler's Adventures, and this book number 1 is called Brainwashed by Aertker. And so this book doesn't have a lot of pictures, but I will be showing you any that we do come across, but we'll jump right into it here. Our prelude quote for this book is, "No matter how bad your past is, you still don't want it erased." It's very true. Chapter 1. The Hotel, the Boat, and the Secret. Lucas Beans lay in a sleeping bag on the roof of his father's hotel, dreaming about a past he couldn't remember. On this particular morning, a strange sound woke him and pulled him from the dark. With his eyes still closed, Lucas stayed quiet and tried to take it all in. He could hear the distant hum of tires on the freeways around the city. From somewhere close by, a car engine cranked several times and then conked out. Lucas strained his ears and unzipped the sleeping bag. Slowly he rolled over, got on one knee, and peered over the rooftop. With his bare chest leaning against the concrete wall, he stared down 13 floors. Lucas watched as the lights in the back parking lot flickered then dimmed. His eyes traveled across the empty, unfilled spaces to the center of the blacktop. There, parked like a regular car between the white lines, was a shopping cart with a baby lying in it, alone. "What?" he muttered. Lucas knew what it felt like to be abandoned. When he was 2, his mother died just hours after she had adopted him. If he could help it, he wouldn't let another kid be left alone. Besides, a baby by itself was creepy, and the sooner he got to the kid, the better. The stairs would take too long, and everyone in the hotel would slow him down. Repelling would be the quickest way. Without wasting a second more, he pulled a pair of jeans over his boxers, rolled up his sleeping bag and foam mattress, and stowed them in a camping bin. He heard the odd noise again. Behind his basketball hoops and partially hidden in the shadow of a construction dumpster was a dark-colored van. The motor sputtered and struggled to start, a thin cloud of exhaust puffing from its tailpipe. Lucas squinted and tried to commit the license plate to memory. The numbers were dirty, but he was sure he recognized Canadian tags. Lucas had clocked the last 11 of his 13 years living in the Globe Hotel, and this parking lot was his backyard. During that time, he had seen plenty of older kids join the new Resistance safe houses that were hidden in some of his father's hotels, but he had never witnessed an actual drop-off of another kid. No one had. All of a sudden, a sliding door slammed shut. With a blast of black smoke, the van coughed to a rumble and started moving. It peeled out through piles of construction sand and spun into a parking lot. A single working headlight bumped in the early morning darkness and appeared to head straight for the baby. The van swerved around the shopping cart, crashed through a wooden barricade, and fishtailed down the street. In the distance, the famous lights of Las Vegas were still shining, with the miniature Eiffel Tower capping the weirdness of his whole life. Lucas zeroed in on the baby. If he was fast enough, he could grab the kid and maybe not get in trouble for breaking the no climbing alone rule. Nobody broke Coach's rules. Coach Creed was a giant East Texan with a big hat and boots and a voice to match. But at that moment, a baby alone in a shopping cart was more important to Lucas than some made-up rule. Besides, Coach Creed would most likely show up for morning climbing practice in a few minutes and find something Lucas had done wrong anyway. When he was too quick, Coach would say, "Lucas, you've got to think before you act." The next time Lucas would take too long to think before he acted, Coach would bark, "Lucas, get your head out of the clouds." The smell of bacon arose from a nearby kitchen vent, and Lucas knew everyone in the hotel would soon be awake. He hurried toward the climbing section and popped open a plastic bin, slipped on a t-shirt and climbing shoes, and strapped on his waist harness. Then he stepped onto a metal platform and grabbed the ropes. He would rappel down, get the baby, and winch himself and the child up to the roof, hopefully before Coach Creed arrived. He clipped a hook from the winch motor to a carabiner on his harness and unlocked a ratchet. At the side of the hotel, the morning garbage trucks rolled in and clanged the dumpsters on the concrete pads. The truck's backup beepers always made Lucas think about his mother dying. "Focus, Lucas," he mumbled to himself. Don't think about that accident. 13 floors to the ground. Lucas had to concentrate. He stepped backward over the ledge, fixed his feet to the outside wall, and settled into the harness. It was his first solo rappel. His mouth dried to the point where he could taste a new filling in his back molar. Lucas calculated the distance to the parking lot. 52 meters, 170 feet. He flexed his biceps, wrapped his fingers around the rope, and set the line in the harness to free fall. In climbing, there was always a fraction of a second between the security of being locked in and the freedom of an actual rappel. His heart skipped as he rappelled down the side of the wall. The rope began to hum. At the 7th floor, he passed the window of his assigned hotel room. When he landed on the ground, he stepped out of the harness and hooked it to the winch that would hoist him back up. Lucas crept around the building to the back parking lot, and there it was, just like he had seen from the roof, a baby lying in a shopping cart. Lucas's mind went negative. What if the kid was not alive? He tried to think if he had ever seen a dead person before. He'd never been to a funeral, and he never ever had to seen a dead baby, and he definitely didn't want to. His heart pounded in his chest. Lucas walked, tiptoed, toward the shopping cart. The last of the parking lot lights flickered out, leaving out only the early morning sun. He moved across the blacktop, making sure not to step on a white line. At this moment, he needed all the luck he could get. As he got closer to the cart, he held his breath and swallowed. He gripped the shopping cart handle and looked over into the basket. He gasped. The van he had seen only moments earlier came flying back into the parking lot. The tires screeched across the asphalt, burning a cloud of white smoke. Lucas's eyes doubled in size as he watched the van's single headlight come barreling directly at him. The baby, he thought. Lucas unglued his knuckles from the shopping cart handles bars and pushed. He watched as the wheels wobbled, rolling the cart just out of the way. He turned back to see the van. 3 seconds, he calculated, and he would be dead. Lucas could see the driver's face, a teenager. At the last second, the boy jammed the brakes and cut the wheel. The 2-ton vehicle dipped in the front and spun 180 degrees so that the back doors faced Lucas. He couldn't believe his luck, but in Las Vegas, luck was not always good. The rear doors crashed open and 2 dark figures, maybe boys, grabbed Lucas and pulled him into the van. Lucas hit his head on the metal wall and dropped to the floor. There he rolled into a pile of balls, basketballs and footballs. He settled on what felt like a clump of golf balls, jamming him in the back. The 2 boys were wearing black shirts and pants, and they both seemed to have thin, fuzzy mustaches. One boy got behind Lucas and put him in a full Nelson, while the other stretched a piece of duct tape across Lucas's mouth. The boy gripped the roll of duct tape in his fist and leaned over Lucas. "Don't say a word," he whispered. "Duh," Lucas thought. "I've got duct tape on my mouth." "You stupid," said the other boy. "He can't talk." The second boy then let out of the full Nelson and ripped the tape from his face. "Ah!" Lucas yelped as his cheeks burned. "Who are you?" "Don't worry about who we are," said the second boy. Lucas licked his lips, working the tape glue from his skin. "What's going on?" asked Lucas. "You trying to kidnap me? And why did you drop that baby off like that?" The 2 boys looked at each other. "I told you he had seen us," said the first boy. "Listen," said the second boy. "We're not kidnapping you." The other boy added, "We just want to make sure you don't tell anyone." "Tell anyone what?" asked Lucas. "About the baby?" "No," said the first boy. "We left a note about the baby. I'll tell you everything you need to know." "You can read it when we're gone," said the other. "It's just that no one can know we are here now." "Why?" asked Lucas. "We're working in secret," said both boys. The first boy added, "If you tell anyone you saw us, we'll never be able to help again." "But why?" asked Lucas. "Why?" repeated the boy. "Why? Because she'll kill us. Or worse, said the second boy, brainwash us like the others. Lucas was confused. Who are you talking about? The two boys laughed. Ciba Guanero, said the first boy, shaking his head. Head of the good company. Lucas closed his eyes. He wanted to forget about what had happened to the last time he had a run-in with Miss Guanero. The good company was, after all, the suspected world leader in kidnapping children. Everyone at the new resistance believed Ciba Guanero and her good company were responsible for blowing up the ferry boat that had killed his adoptive mother some 11 years later. Lucas sat up. If you didn't want me to see you, then why did you come back into the parking lot? I spotted you spying on us from the roof, said the first boy. We had to make sure. The other boy asked, what were you doing on the roof anyway? Lucas was getting tired of this game. I live in a hotel and go to hotel school with the same people that I've been with since I was 2, he said. The roof is the only place to get away from around here. The driver yelled into the back of the van, He's lying! Immediately, the van clunked into gear and lurched forward. The balls rolled around as Lucas and the two boys flipped over and fell into each other. Kidnapping was Lucas's second greatest fear. And I'll stop the video there, ending chapter 1. But I hope you guys like the introduction to our new read-along of The Crime Travelers, Brainwashed by Aertker. And as always, guys, please take good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you in our next video where we continue with chapter 2. Take good care and hope to see you soon.